The government is looking at banning student loans for those who fail their English and Maths GCSE in a bid to reduce the number of people going to university. What do you think to this? I mean, you will all, of course, remember, won't you, the whole Tony Blair, it was all about education, education, education. Well, it seemed to work because, quite frankly, the number of people going to university or applying to go to university is going up and up and up. But what's the outcome of that? There's lots of conversations as well around so-called Mickey Mouse degrees. And these new plans, by the way, that will be going out to consultation, they're not just around these kind of minimum entry requirements, but they'll also be looking at how do you stop these, as I've just said, Mickey Mouse degrees. Ashley Frawley, I mean, there's a lot to unpick here, but, you know, go at it where you will. Why are so many people going to uni? Should we have these kind of entry requirements of GCSEs? And what do you do about Mickey Mouse degrees? Pick any of those you want.
Well, young people have been told that if they don't go to university, then their future is basically tossed away. It's one of the only options that you're kind of told is available for you. But I don't think that GCSEs, that this plan to kind of ensure that people who fail Maths and English GCSEs don't get loans is going to help, because yes, we do need to raise standards. But the reason why we have lower standards is way down the line. It's got nothing to do, well, it's got something to do with letting students in, but there's an incentive to do that, right? I mean, universities need to get bums on seats. That's what they have to do. And so the incentive is to just let anybody in. And then when you get there, students are told, well, you've got to be a consumer. You've got to demand, you've paid for this product, you demand your degree. And so, lecturers, I've seen this myself, with colleagues across the country, lecturers who hold the line and try not to inflate the grades, they get punished. They get very severely punished. It's extremely stressful. Students will actually complain and ask for their work to be reassessed. And that's not their fault. I mean, they're told everything is riding on this. If you don't get a first-class degree, forget about it. I mean, the situation is so complex that just doing this one little thing is just going to basically punish students for a problem that's much deeper within the higher education system and with, how we invest in the future in this country generally.
Kevin?
Well, I think the particular point that I was troubled with by this story is that it talks about punishing effectively those kids who didn't get the right grades in the GCSEs from studying further, and I think that's wrong. I don't have such an issue with the fact that these days more people go to university. I do defer to Ashley as a working academic that there is definitely a more commercial pressure on a lot of universities these days. That I've seen, who don't have, especially those without big endowments, to get bums on seats. But I don't like this because I'm less troubled by some than the fact that more people go to uni than used to. I don't think this particular punishment is fair to those who might want to go on further and who've got bad GCSEs for whatever reason. And I think that's quite a backward-looking step, so I don't think it's great.
Michael, your thoughts?
I think one of the tragedies of our education system in recent years has been this encouragement of so many kids to go to uni, because what's happened is they've ended up with a big bundle of debt and not much to show for it, because it actually hasn't helped them in the workplace get a job that would be higher paying, because you've had a saturation of people who may have degrees where there's not enough jobs essentially to go around for people that have got that qualification. What I think we need to be looking at is a system whereby kids are much more encouraged to go and earn a trade, go and earn real money. In a lot of cases, by the way, that is what's happened. People that go and earn a trade, learn a trade and then set up a company can be earning good money compared to people that go to uni, come out with a big bundle of debt. And by the way, I know people like this, that, they're not happy about this situation, that they've been encouraged by the government to go and do this and ended up almost with worthless degrees in some cases. Yeah, they might have had a good time. I definitely had a good time at university and stuff. But ultimately, people are not, young people coming out with a lot of debt and not much to show for it ain't a good thing. I personally think we need to see grammar schools brought in alongside vocational colleges. We need to play to the strengths of children, not tell them that, academics good and anything else is less good. But we need to play to the strengths by identifying what kids, are best at, and ultimately getting them into a situation where when they leave education system, when they leave the education system, they end up with a job, that pays well, they can look after their families, they can have a fruitful life. That ultimately, I think, is what the education system should be about.
I think also part of the problem, too, is that we have all of these metrics to try and create this market. And that what winds up happening is universities, rather than providing a really challenging degree, well, why do that? Right? Because that means that more students are going to fail. So then you start just chasing the metrics. And I think that's actually really inhumane, because one of the things that we're supposed to do is ensure that when we allow students in, that we retain them, which is good. Except that I actually think it's better to allow a student to fail in the first year rather than accrue an enormous amount of debt and then find something that's actually better for them. Instead, the incentive is to keep these students on no matter what. So we do need to raise standards, but we need to also think about how we've encouraged competition, how we've just encouraged metric chasing, and how the entire system mitigates against getting actually a good education.
But Kevin, I mean, let's be honest about this. This is about what, giving people loans that they then don't pay back. Mm-hmm. This is what's at the heart of this situation, right?
Exactly.
So then that leads me to question: well, who should pay for someone to go to university?
Taxpayer, because it's a really. I was accused of being the miserable one earlier by Shouty Michael there, but actually I'm the one who's happy now, right? Because if you look at this story, universities are a great British success story. I think it's great that more kids from the backgrounds it sounds like most of us are from on this panel today, with 28% of kids of 18-year-olds from the most disadvantaged areas applying compared to 10 years ago. That's a great thing. And it has to be paid for through general taxation. And it's good. I see this as much more from a glass half full perspective than colleagues who are, a bit upset about the fact that half of kids now go to uni.
Well, no, I think a much fairer system would be to have fewer kids go to uni, but they don't actually have to accrue the debt. They get it paid for, but on the basis they've got academic outstanding achievement, and thus it ensures those that do go are getting a degree that actually helps them in the workplace and get a better paid job, and it ensures that they, by achieving academically, don't then come out with the debt. Surely that's a fairer way than bundling everyone with debt and saying, isn't that great?
Well, debt doesn't get paid back, does it? It doesn't have to be.
Well, of course you pay it back. That's why it's debt. It's student debt.
If you listen to what I just said, a large number of students end up not paying this back, which is Michelle's point. Because that you have to earn over a certain threshold. So
I haven't gone to uni, I do understand, but you do still pay it back, don't you?
Well, Adam is a student, and he has emailed in and says, Michelle, as a student, I do feel there needs to be an assessment of how many people are entering higher education. However, if we're going to implement such a policy like the one proposed, we also, and I think this is a very good point you raise here, Adam, we need to ensure that there are good quality jobs for individuals without degrees. Currently, too many jobs that don't require degrees or shouldn't require degrees do. And if this remains the case, too many individuals will have their job prospects significantly damaged at the age of 16. Adam, I think you've hit on a very crucial point, because jobs that you used to be able to leave school and do with, GCSEs or whatever. So many jobs now have lowered the kind of level at which they request a degree. And it's absolutely bonkers to me, because there are so many jobs that simply request a degree for requesting a degree's sake, but they don't need one in order to fulfil that job properly. Ashley?
Yeah, we're just deflecting problems of the broader economy onto the education system, onto higher education. We do this with a huge range of issues at all levels of education. The fact is, university has become a holding centre for a huge range of people for which the economy has no use.
Ashley, are you serious? Have you just called unis a holding centre in the style of a prison or an asylum camp?
No, I mean...
a holding centre?
Oh, please. I mean, economically, there isn't any use for these people, so it doesn't matter what they do. They go to university because there's nothing else for them. Now, I am obviously going to be an advocate of a high-quality education. What I'm saying is what mitigates against getting a high-quality education is deflecting the problems of society back onto education, so that its main purpose is something always beyond itself.
But isn't it great that more people are getting, the chance to go to uni, that life experience? Isn't that a good thing?
I absolutely think it is, if that's what you want to do. But I find that there are a lot of students who are there and they don't actually want to be there.